Hello everyone and welcome to PlayStation Access. Now, I seem to remember the last time we all got together like this was to talk about some of the most gruesome deaths in gaming.
Now, that's nice and all, but I think we can take this whole horrible death thing to the next level, don't you think? A level where death would be a kindness in the face of what fate had in store for these poor, unfortunate souls.
Yes, that sounds good. A nice slice of harrowing content to really get into that Friday feeling.
From Lovecraftian horrors not of our earth to good old-fashioned undeath then, let's take a look at what could possibly be less appealing than leaving this mortal coil for good. Whoever designed these video game arcs certainly has an active imagination, I'll say that much.
I know.
Considering all of the genetic harvesting and space diseases in Mass Effect, it's pretty ripe ground for fates worse than death.
Nothing takes the crown quite like one mission in Mass Effect 2, however, where Commander Shepard heads into the depths of an experimental Cerberus research facility and uncovers the truth of Project Overlord.
It's a pretty cool name, to be fair, but it is not cool work.
Investigating the base after reports of it going dark, Shepard encounters a rogue VI that is taking over the mechanical entities housed there, meaning plenty of Geth and droids to wipe out. Eventually, upon reaching the VI core and destroying its big green face, it is revealed that the program is actually a hybridization of a virtual intelligence and the lead scientist's own brother.
I'm talking some cyberpunk horror show that would be better suited to a HR Giga painting.
I mean, just one look at this is enough to make your insides and outsides cringe in revolt. It's then you realise the strange noises the program has been letting out throughout the mission are actually the deranged screams of a man desperate to be released from its confines, coerced into this brain-melting apparatus against his will. The Reapers have nothing on Chief Scientist Gavin Archer.
You told me that David volunteered.
By necessity.
Usually when a game gives you the option of not killing someone, it's an act of mercy. In Dishonored, it's probably the worst thing you can possibly do. Dishonored is a clever game all about player choice, about using your range of weapons and abilities to explore the possibilities of the game's intricate setups. There's always more than one way to get things done, and that includes the elimination of your key targets. Let's take the example of the Pendleton twins. Or Pendle twins. Boo! Boo! The Pendleton twins, found by Corvo at the Golden Cap bathhouse. You can hand them a fate exactly as bad as death by straight up murdering them, loudly, quietly, with a sword, or a pistol, with a crossbow, or your hands. This one first, or the other one. As long as you're alive and they're not, the mission is complete and your story continues. Or there's another way. A bad way. At this point, I should mention that it's possible to complete Dishonored, a game about killing people with fancy powers, without killing anyone at all. There's even a trophy for it called Clean Hands. But this way of playing the game isn't about being good. It's about asserting your superiority by discovering and delivering karmically satisfying ends for your enemies. In the case of the Pendletons, if you earn the favour of the gangster Slackjaw, he'll simply handle them for you.
So I'm gonna shave their heads and cut out their tongues and put them in one of their own stinking mines.
Ah, the old tongueless, hairless, indefinite slavery trick. A classic.
I think people really underestimate the psychological horror of Groundhog Day as a concept, but Returnal hits the nail right in the perpetual existential crisis.
Celine's crash landing on a distant planet far away from everything she's ever known or cared about is already a nightmare situation, but throw in some incredibly hostile flora and fauna, the remains of a race of sentient beings driven to ruin and madness for company, and a nasty case of the time warps as she's constantly brought back to life each time she dies horribly.
And you've got yourself one heck of a bad time.
Perhaps worst of all is Celine having hope that she can actually make it out alive when she manages to get back to Earth in the middle of the narrative, only to find that it doesn't matter where she dies, she will always return to Atropos, alone, lost in the distant reaches of space. There's no escape, No comfort, no change, only the haunted remains of her fractured life merged into the environment as if she's trapped in her own personal purgatory, doomed to die over and over again.
I mean, it's a fate so much more gnarly than death that I can't even make a joke about it. All I can do is feel sad, endlessly sad, over and over and over and over and over.
What? What's going on?
Rosie, if you want to wake up in the morning, you need to climb these very big stairs.
What?
You'd better start climbing. If you're not quick enough, you will die.
Oh my god!
Oh, and talk about your entry while you're doing this, thank you.
How would you feel if every night when you went to sleep, you were forced to play a little game? A game where you need to climb up what feels like an endless tower of blocks, all the way to the top in order to live for another day. The blocks being booby-trapped with spikes, falling down, breaking, having creepy faces, saying edge all the time, and being really slow to move. Really slow moving cubes? Pfft, that's fine! Well, it's not fine when you're being chased by a bum with a face! I don't know about you, but I'm someone who depends on sleep to function. I'm a wreck if I sleep rough. And the idea of having to climb for my life with these demons every night, being surrounded by nightmarish scenery, hearing horrific screams from others? Nah. And not only that, but because you slept badly, you are then shattered the next day and just want to sleep again, but you don't want to die, so you try to stay awake. It's an endless cycle. When you're awake, you're trying to figure out what's going on, and when you sleep, you climb for your life, trapped in an endless nightmare. At least I'm surrounded by sheep. Only they're not sheep, but actual people! Ah! Oh my god, I'm knackered. I had this dream where I was climbing a set of stairs for my life, and then there was a sheep that sounded like Rob, and I had to talk about a fate worse than death. Oh god, it was horrible. Good thing it was all a dream.
Now, I think we can all agree that being a zombie, or any kind of undead, is definitely a bad thing.
But video games don't just like to stop at the old bite and resurrect gimmick. No, there are plenty of examples where the undead walk that special place between life and death in some seriously stressful ways. The Last of Us games are a great example, with the prospect of being bitten offering up a whole world of pain before taking characters over from the inside out. The infected are exactly that, afflicted with the cordyceps brain infection, meaning they aren't dead, but mutated and grown upon as fungus takes root in their heads, destroying their higher brain function and rendering them nothing more than diseased vessels intent on spreading their germs.
Ew.
They are condemned to become remorseless mushroom people, savaging friends and family alike with no cure to bring them back to the person they once were. The worst part? The sad look on runners' faces suggests perhaps they're even aware of all this. They're just unable to control themselves enough to stop it.
Enough to send a shiver down your spine, that.
Now, I don't think I would be alone in thinking that a fate worse than death is to be eternally alive, but in a sad way. You know, a way where you're conscious and aware, but just unable to enjoy anything.
Like being locked in a living room with no PlayStation in it, or, as is the case in Final Fantasy X, giving up your physical body to the spirit of a millennia-old religious leader gone mad so he can turn it into a giant evil whale, the flesh of which you're doomed to be encased in for years, while flying around indiscriminately blowing stuff up and being really sad.
Which is literally what happens to Jecht, father of protagonist Tidus and body of Sin, Final Fantasy X's giant antagonist.
I guess you could make the argument that being a giant murderous monster might actually be quite fun. So we did a quick poll in the office, and can now say, unequivocally, that being a sad evil whale is a fate worse than death, so there. To top it all off, Jecht then appears as the penultimate boss, hauling his now monstrous form up from the depths to do battle with his son. After everything he's been through, Jecht's defeat and subsequent death must come as a sweet release.
I promise this will be quick! Hit me with all you got, Dad!
Nothing good ever happens at 2 a.m. unless it's a number 6 with extra cheese from Big Boy Benny's, but mostly 2 a.m. is terrible, a point illustrated perfectly by Disco Elysium. Most of the game, you're a mystery-busting super cop getting to the bottom of a grisly murder. Wait, no, sorry, you're a confused, bumbling failure of a human with grand delusions about those things, but still, there's a murder and you're trying to solve it. And you've only got a handful of days to do so. Time is an important factor in Disco Elysium, ruling when you can perform certain actions throughout the day. When night falls, stores close, the city of Revachol winds down, and its people sleep. Something you have to factor in for your all-too-human cop as well. Have enough cash on you and you can take a kip in your room at the Whirling in Rags, but let the clock run to 2 a.m. before you've paid for your stay, and you'll find yourself in a strange predicament. Friends, there is no time after 2 a.m. The clock stops and nothing can be progressed. You're simply trapped in a state of limbo, wandering the streets, unable to carry on. Darkness surrounds you, and you cry a little bit, thinking of the morning that will never come. Your necktie mocks you in earnest. Please, death over the necktie. I am begging you.
And there you have it. There are our video game fates worse than death. What would you add to this list? Which one would you least like to experience? Let us know in the comments section below. For now though, this has been PlayStation Access. Don't forget to subscribe for more PlayStation goodness, and we'll see you again very soon. Thanks for watching.